Okay. Today is May 31st, 1989. My name is Joe Todd, and this is an interview with Mr. Tommy Crane, and we're in Mannford, Oklahoma. This Mannford?
Yeah.
So where were you born?
Bentonville, Arkansas.
And when's your birthday?
November 23rd, 1895.
1895. Who is your father?
Frank Crane.
Frank Crane. And your mother?
Bell.
B-E-L-L-E?
Yeah. Arabelle. Her initials are ABC.
What was her maiden name?
Her maiden name? Edward.
Yeah. Edward. Edward?
Edwards.
Edwards. And where were your parents from?
Well, mother was born in Arkansas. My daddy, he was born in Michigan. They come to Arkansas when he was about 9 years old. Come to Kansas and stay there 2 or 3 years, and then come on to Arkansas. That's where he met my mother.
What kind of work your father do?
He's a farmer.
Farmer?
Early days.
Did you know your grandparents?
Yeah.
Both sets, or
Yeah.
either of your grandfathers in the Civil War?
Grandfather Crane was.
Grandfather Crane was.
Yeah.
Can you ever talk about that?
Oh, that's so long ago I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
He died way back in the teens, or early teens.
And what did the family raise in the farm? What kind of crops?
Well, corn, cotton, alfalfa.
And how big was the farm?
Oh, 160 acres.
160.
Yeah.
Did your father homestead there?
No.
As a small boy, what chores did you do in the farm?
Oh, water the hogs and feed the hogs.
What kind of hogs you raise?
Well, we're total silent mostly.
And what about plowing?
Well, when I was about 13 years old, I guess, when they began to put me out with a team.
And how many acres did you plow in one day?
Well, with one team, about 2.5, 3 acres. You're doing pretty good.
Good day.
Yeah. Or see about 14-inch plow.
Ever have one of the sulky plows? Or the riding plow?
Later years, but I never did.
Okay.
Daddy, he had the
Okay.
riding plow, but I always used it walking.
How often would you have to sharpen the plow, the moldboard?
Well, the shear. You
The
didn't-
shear, yeah.
The moldboard you didn't.
Yeah, right, the shear, I'm sorry.
Or it depended. I don't remember. It's when it get wear down, why they used to have they sharpen, have it sharpened again, pointed.
And who ran the shop, the blacksmith shop?
Well, in Tom Gill in the Old Town, they were there.
This is Bentonville?
No, we moved from Arkansas to Oklahoma when I was 5 years old.
Okay. Why did the family move to Oklahoma?
Well, my grandfather, he bought a farm up between Stillwater and Perry, I think, and then they moved up there in 1899, I believe it was. We settled on a farm up there.
Remember the trip?
No, I can't say that I do.
And do you know how long the trip took? Did your folks tell you?
No, but we came in a wagon from Arkansas for probably a week.
And between Stillwater and Perry, what's the nearest town, farm?
I was about halfway between Stillwater and Perry. On the railroad over north, I can't, it used to be west of Morrison, there's a little town now that was close to, but we went to Stillwater all the time. Supposed to be 10 miles from Stillwater.
Where'd you start school?
First year, I think I went to Stillwater school.
Stillwater. How far from the farm was it to Stillwater?
About 10 miles.
10 miles.
But I stayed with my grandmother in Stillwater the first year when I was there too.
This grandfather Crane or Edwards?
Crane.
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 Okay. How big was Stillwater in those years?
Oh, not very big. I think the college consisted of 3 buildings. I remember, I think my daddy, he helped work on that hole in rock to build some of them. There was only 3 buildings in that university at that time.
Did you help him with the rock there?
No, I was too little.
Yeah. Okay. Who was your first teacher?
I don't remember.
What kind of games did you play in school?
Well, first year, I don't remember those early first years, but they got up and played a little later on while you were more active playing.
What about mischief?
Oh, I was a good boy.
We believe you too, Tommy.
Had his fingers crossed.
You never get into any trouble, ever, ever. God's listening, Tommy.
Not serious, no.
How about unserious?
In those years, how'd you celebrate Christmas?
Well, we usually have this little Christmas tree. Back when I was a kid. And then we moved from Stillwater back down here on the river. And Grandpa had sold out up there and moved down here, and so we moved back down here in the basement in 1906, I believe it was.
1906. How'd you travel from there down to here?
Oh, came in a wagon, that's all there was those days.
Tell me about that trip.
Well, I was about 10 years old, I guess, and then moved in a wagon, I think, in fact, I think there was three wagons. Some of the relatives furnished the team in a wagon, and then there's about 3 teams.
Could you tell us what items you packed to bring down here?
No, I can't say that it can. Just these household goods and things like that.
What did you bring?
Well, I was only 10 years old. I don't know what.
Let me back up and ask, what kind of house did you live in on the farm about Stillwater?
Always just a lumber built house. I was in the early days there, and I remember it's planks, and it's just 1 by 12, see, and then the ceiling over the joints at that house.
Kind of a board and batten type?
Yeah.
What about down here?
Well, it was, well, we lived on first year we moved down here, we lived on one place with a fireplace in it. And then we moved to another place a mile on down the road later on. And,
You cut wood for the fireplace?
oh yeah, I cut a lot of wood in that for.
Tell me about that.
Well, we usually had a hired hand to help him. How big I saw wood a bit, and that's what we do all day long. Redwood and pile it up for cooked wood or heating wood.
Is there a difference between cooked wood and heating wood?
Well, heating wood is bigger sticks. cookwood, you'd be about so long and then 2 inches in diameter or something like that, split up to feed you into your cook stove.
What about washwood?
Oh yeah,
No.
that's in the early days. That's my mother worked on the washboard.
Is there a difference between washwood and stove wood?
Washwood, no, you just heat. Back then they'd heat the kettle on the stove.
On the stove.
And,
Yeah, some women did it outside.
mhm. But I think she always inside.
So you moved down here because your grandfather bought a place down here?
Yeah, and we bought another place.
Okay. Where exactly did you move when you came down here?
35, 20, and 9, I think is the location. Out in the basement. Mile west of Appalachia, across the river.
Okay. Now, when you say the basin, what's a basin?
Well, that was a old town there. Of course, that was in 1906. But before that, they had a cotton gin there, a church, blacksmith shop, and a little store. But they'd moved the church and the cotton gin away when we come down. But there was a store there for several years. In fact, a Basin post office was in that. Basin OT. And Mannford as IT. Indian Territory. That was Oklahoma Territory. Pawnee County was the line over there.
So did you live in Oklahoma Territory or Indian Territory?
Oklahoma Territory.
Mannford was on this side of the river,
Yeah.
so it was Oklahoma Territory.
I moved to Mannford in 1917 when I got this rural island.
In those years, were there many floods in the river here?
Yes. I think 1908 was the highest I ever seen simmer on the river. Grandfather had about 60 acres of corn in the bottom over there, and you just tossed one out. And that flood was all over that. 1908. That's the highest I simmer on that.
How high did it get?
I don't know just exactly how many feet it was. But anyway, it was the ferry boat east of where we lived. It broke loose and around in the bend there, they caught it about 2 miles down the river. But drift or something had caused it to break loose.
How big was the town of Appalachia?
Oh,
How
yeah.
big was the town of Appalachia?
Well, it was when the river turned after Mendon Bend, went back through there. Keystone's on the south side, Appalachia's on the north side. They had at that time they had a post office, dry goods store, and a lumber yard, saloon, and hardware, I believe. That's in the teens.
What about Keystone?
Well, they had a bank on the Keystone side, and a drugstore, Masonic building, and several other buildings.
Now, Keystone was in Indian Territory?
No, it was just about a half a mile from the line.
Okay.
It's right on the corner.
Okay.
And back those days, that's Prohibition days. And they would ship liquor in there, and then they'd haul it out to Spalpa and Charleston places. Teams, with teams, see.
Who was bringing the whiskey in?
Well, the Ammerman boys was the main ones. That's why they convicted them and the depot agent together, I think. and they was allowed a gallon of whiskey and so much beer or something, and they'd use other people's names to order it. And then they would get caught once in a while. One down on Brown Creek, I was talk about it was 3 guys well known around Mannford. They held up a wagon, a load of whiskey, down on Brown Creek. And it happened to be the county sheriff was riding shotgun on our wagon. But
Is that right?
one guy stepped
Yeah.
out and stopped him, and he reached down for the shotgun. And another guy was over in another location. He put the gun up behind his ear and said, "Drop it." And so they didn't take him in.
That was the county sheriff?
That was the county sheriff was right at that time.
Who was it?
What was his
Do
name?
you know?
I can't think right now. Well, I know the boys that were doing it.
Who were the boys that were doing it?
Well, it was Pete Russell,
Was it?
Walt Fest.
One of the Coles.
No, it was I believe it was Bonnie Desi.
What year was that?
I was back in the teens, but I
Teens?
forget what year.
At the sheriff of Creek County?
Yeah, it was that.
Were the streets in Appalachia or Keystone paved or brick?
No, didn't even have a grading.
Tell me-
We didn't, back to that, all of the road work was done that was done with a team.
Mhm.
And then we just had wagon roads. We didn't have, at that time, we didn't have automobiles. I got my first automobile, a Model T, in 1920.
1920. Tell me what the streets were like when it rained.
Well, in the streets, they wasn't so bad. It drained off pretty good. But now, at Drumright, in the boom days there, they claim it was down there, about where the railroad come in there, they drowned as a team in the mud and slush there one time.
Really?
Or the teaming, you know, it works that mud up, you know.
Before we get to there, Statehood Day, 1970. When
didn't live-
Oklahoma became a state. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Was it a big celebration?
Well, I don't know. I guess to a certain degree it was. Of course, we lived on a farm out there.
Farmers didn't celebrate then?
Well, I suppose they did, but then
What was the biggest holiday of the year? Christmas, 4th of July? Which one?
well, it depends. I like both of them. But I always remember one thing that I was at 4th of July celebration in Stillwater when I was a little kid. And it was night, and they had fireworks, and one little boy let out a yell. It was the happiest 4th of July I ever seen. And I bet I've seen 500. Now, I was just a little kid then, but it always stuck with me.
Were you raising the same crops down here as you were up by Stillwater?
Well, we didn't have any alfalfa up there. That was more of a wheat country up there.
Did you raise wheat up there?
Little, yeah.
Did you help in the wheat harvest?
No, I was too young at that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
When did you begin working for the post office?
March the 12th, 1917.
March the 12th, 1917.
And I ended it November the 30th, 1955. Had a little vacation coming in. I got paid up for the first year.
Why did you still begin working for the post office?
I don't know. There was just a vacancy for a rule carrier. And I went to Spapa. There's 3/4 around Mannford. Went down and took an examination at Spapa. And I was thinking about going to Dakota, in town, and the postmaster called me in and she had a notice for me that I'd won the job. So first, I just used the buggy. Till then, I ordered me a mail wagon from made in Peoria, Illinois. Had a factory up there that made them regular mail wagons. Had a window in front that dropped down where your lines could come under, and then a sliding door on each side. But I used the buggy till I got that.
Did you have to buy the mail wagon, or did the government pay?
No, I had to buy it. So at that time, I think it was around $200.
What did the mail wagon cost? $200?
About $200. If I remember right.
How long was your route?
24 miles when I started, but they added on 2 or 3 different times extra mileage. I'd backtrack in places, visited into Bentonville River and out west. The last year I carried, I had Keystone route in Mannford both. I'd go third part of my route down to the Hayden place, go on Keystone, serve that route, and then come back and finish my Mannford route. That's when they was buying it up for the lake, changing things.
During the war, World War I, how many boys around here were killed in the war?
I don't recollect. That's just how many killed.
Did you have to deliver the message to the family?
No, not personally. I didn't have to deliver.
How did they notify the family in those years?
Well, I'm not sure of that because I didn't have any in my family personally, that lost it.
Flu epidemic.
Oh, that was bad. My wife's mother died during that flu epidemic. 1918.
Did many people around here die of the flu?
There were a few.
What were some of the medicines they were using at that time?
I don't know.
Did you have the flu?
Yeah, but not bad. But I had the flu, but it wasn't bad.
Armistice Day.
Well, they celebrated that quite a bit on Armistice Day.
Did you?
Well, I presume I did. I was still carrying the mail, see.
Yeah.
But,
What day was that on? No, it was November 11th, but what day of the week?
I don't know. That was probably that year.
1920s. Of course, you said they had Prohibition around here. Is that when they were hauling in all the whiskey and everything in the late teens and 20s?
Yeah, that's it'd been, there used to be saloons in Keystone, see, and then when Prohibition come along, why, then they bootleg it and they could ship it in there, and then they bunch it up and order on other people's names, see, and then haul it off Spuffa and toss it in places.
What
And
will
Keystone,
feel? Oh.
and Keystone was right down on the point, see, with Indian territory on both sides. And they could ship it there, see. They couldn't ship it into Indian territory, but they could ship it into Oklahoma territory. Keystone was right in the point there.
What oil field is in this area?
Well, I don't know what to call it. It used to be called oil field, drumright field, but around Mannford,
I don't know what they call this here.
around Mannford and out in the basin there, come across there, you know, they water flooded that.
Well, Red Fork is.
Yeah, there was some wells, Red Fork wells out there. So.
This area right here is the Travis lease. The old Travis lease. Yeah. What was this little town, this little camp up here?
That was the Travis
Travis.
Trees up
Travis.
there. See, they had a machine shop and a big yard there, and 6 or 7 houses. And one of the houses is still there.
Yeah, I saw it.
You mentioned Drumright. This is Boomtown. When they bring your field in around Drumright? What year?
Orange can tell you.
Okay.
Ours took over there.
1912.
The Great Depression, 1930s. How'd that affect you and your family?
Well, things got pretty cheap on the farm, but I was carrying mail, and of course I was drawing the same salary, and so it really didn't affect me.
So your salary wasn't affected?
No, the salary wasn't.
Yeah, some people I knew had to take a cut in salary during
Yeah.
those years. What was your salary?
I don't recall, but it wasn't very much. When I started carrying the mail, I got $96 a month from me and my team. 24-mile route. And you went 6 days a week. But
What?
then they, over the years, they keep adding on a little, raising those.
In those years, what maintenance did you have to pull in your wagon to keep it going? Like greasy axles or?
Yeah, I had to grease it every day. Every morning I had to grease the axle.
How do you do that?
Well, just take the nut off of the wheel and slip the wheel out a little bit. Take some axle grease with a putty knife and put on there, slip her back on and put the
Remember
nut
the
back
brand
on.
of axle grease you used?
Huh?
Remember the brand of axle grease you used?
No, I don't.
A lot of people use Black Beauty.
I don't remember what
Okay.
kind.
What else besides greasing the wheels?
Well, that's about the maintenance of a mail wagon.
Did you have the iron rims on the wheels?
Oh, yeah.
How'd you keep those tight?
Well, they never did loosen it. When a buggy then, there was little nuts through there at certain places there. But after, I think after the second year, I had ball bearings welded on it in the wheel. And so the ball bearing is easier to pull that way.
What about the harness? Was it,
Oh, yeah.
what maintenance you have to do on it?
Well, you had to fit the horses, you know. And for the road, there's a couple of times that I had to take the team to the blacksmith shop and have my eyes shod before it started out. In the winter time when there's ice storm on, you know, and the ice on the ground. And what ice shot is put toes on the shoes and then the corks on the back of them, sharpen them one way and the other way. That way a horse didn't stick.
You have to use any leather dressing on the harness?
Well, no longer than I used it in 3 years. I didn't. I stopped doing that.
Is the maintenance on a buggy different from a wagon?
Oh, I don't know if it would be.
Be about the same.
I might be a little bit.
What brand of buggy did you have?
Well, let's see. It was Dad's buggy. See, I didn't have a buggy. Dad's buggy. But I forgot what make it was. Well, then I got the good mail wagon, and I've used it so.
What brand was the mail wagon?
It Harrington mail wagon made in Peoria, Illinois. I kept it for a year or two after I was using the car. It was getting muddy while I used the team. And if it was dry enough while I used, of course we didn't have any graded roads, so it was just wagon roads.
And with the wagon roads, I guess, were they pretty good roads in those years?
Well, just fair.
Now, how did the state keep the roads up at that time, the wagon roads, or the
Well,
county, or?
Well, they, at that time, each one's supposed to work, what, 3 days, was it a year, wasn't it, something for the,
3 days.
3 days for the
Can't hold that.
poll tax, yeah. That's been outlawed since.
Now, who had to work 3 days? Was it
Each voter,
each voter had to work 3 days?
yeah, supposed to.
What'd you do for your 3 days?
I never did spend any time on that.
Why?
Well, the time I was old enough, I was carrying the mail,
Oh, okay.
and I wasn't out in the country.
Who was Mannford named for?
Well, it was two names then. It was the Mannford on the Cimarron River. All the fords, whoever lived closest to a ford is named after them. And there was 3 man allottees. It had allotments right there. See? So that was the Mannford on the Cimarron River. Then when they built the railroad in 1903, they kind of closed it together and called it Mannford. But it's really Mannford.
So that was the crossing on the river?
Yeah.
The ford of the river. Okay. Could you describe the old town of Mannford? What the town looked like?
Well, it had 2 livery barns. One that's at the north end of Main Street and one half a block west of it. And then there was the old hotel and several buildings on it. I think they built that bank building in 1907, I think it was. But anyway, before that there was just a little wooden building out on the corner, and they moved it across the street and had a drugstore in it for a while. But then there was a hardware on the, at that time, early days, when we first come down here, there was a post office in the back of the hardware building. Just a little post office.
A livery barn. Would you give me a good description of a livery barn?
Well, it was a barn with a lot of stalls in it, and you could rent a livery team, see, team and buggy, so much you could rent them and drive out. I know the salesmen used to come there and they'd get a livery team and take them to Olive out there. It was the inland place, you know. Drive out there and cut your flat. Or somebody come in on a train and wanted to go out in the country, well, they'd hire a livery team to take them out.
You mentioned you quartered in a horse and buggy.
Huh?
You said that you quartered your wife in a horse and buggy.
Well, mostly horseback.
Horseback.
Oh, it's kids. We went horseback for a while.
Where was the favorite place for the people to go courting around here?
Well, they'd have parties and picnics, things like that.
Now, I've heard of parties and play parties. What's the difference?
Well, play parties, they play games. Yes.
Are there many dances around here?
Yes, in the early days.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
I've also heard that a lot of the people came to town on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Tell me about
Saturday.
Saturday.
Well, that was the main day. You come in and trade horses, or they had a program at night, musicians down there with valves, play music and fiddlers.
Free shows.
Was that kind of like, was that
Sorry.
kind of,
Just water.
was that kind of like a Chautauqua?
What's this? Chicago.
I don't know. I ruined your table for me.
It's just water,
I
Clarence.
don't think so.
Doesn't hurt a bit.
World War II. Did you do any work to support the war effort in World War II? Like, you know, they had the bomb drives, the metal drives.
No. I have to do that.
How did the mail increase during the war?
I don't know that it
Okay,
increased
okay.
so much. In the early days, we didn't have many daily papers. Very few. And Mannford had one route then, they've got 3 routes now, so you see how the population all over the country is increasing pretty fast.
I'll try my spell out.
What was your reaction
until the first glass of water was
when they went ahead and built the dam here? They wouldn't move the town. What was your reaction?
Well, there wasn't much. I had some land out there that they bought, and they bought what I had in town. Well, when the majority goes, well, you have to go with it.
Were you for it or against it?
Well, it didn't make a lot of difference to me.
What year was this dam finished?
I don't know.
63.
I'll see it. I think I moved out to here and out in the country in '63. I believe it was. But,
Started moving in '60, didn't it, Bud?
yeah, I was one of the last ones moving out of town.
The first house was built in Mannford in '63.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
I don't recall.
What butchering time?
Butcher time. Well, I don't know, but that time I Daddy always had me kill a hog and he'd stick it. He would kill him with a 22. And
Did you help with the butchering?
oh yeah, when I was a kid, we'd be able to fire out and heat the water in kettles and have a barrel there. She'd flush the hog back in, scald him. And we had a big oak tree there we'd hang him up. And that's
Who invented the hog?
Huh?
Who invented the lard from the hog?
Oh, Mother did. She was later on the stove. She had a big kettle, went across a cook stove like that, and she rendered in there. And she had some 50-pound cans she put the lard in. That's an early day.
One thing I've wondered, they talk about all this cholesterol stuff today, and lard is full of cholesterol.
Yeah.
How come people didn't have this problem back in those days?
Well, I guess they did have it some, but they didn't know. They didn't know the remedy for it.
Either of you have any questions? Anyone want to ask?
Tommy, I didn't mean to correct you there, but on the bank building there, it had 1905.
Well,
They tear that building down when they...
Yeah,
yeah.
and now I've got part of the cash, where the cashiers that get behind there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got part of that there in this place.
Yeah.
And I've got one of the lights that's off of the, but what was a little cafe just straight south?
City Cafe.
City Cafe. I got one of the lights off of the sign there.
Well, I'm trying to think, is there anything else we haven't talked about? Anything about Appalachia or Keystone? Anything that sticks out in your mind, your memory about the towns?
Well, I was plowing corn down on Watermore and I heard shooting, and that's when they robbed the Keystone Bank. I was over here from over there.
Who robbed the bank?
I can't think of his name. But he was from up in the Osage, and he had a boy, or a young man with him that he'd raised. And they camped outside of Keystone, and this boy, he'd come in to get some groceries and told them that they was coming to rob us, so they was ready. Had the sheriff there and on top of the building, and this when he turned around, they said that when they shot him, why he had got robbed the bank, see, and when he turned, they shot him, and he shot the one at the boy that he knew he'd been turned in, see, or something, that he'd been never crossed. That's what they said.
They killed the bank robber?
Yeah. But I don't remember what year that was.
Oh. When did you join the Masons?
Oh, Blue Lodge, I joined the Keystone. The Keystone had a lodge. And I think 1919. And then about in 23, while it was network around Mannford, did we petition and got a charter in 23, and then got her
Blue Lodge.
yeah, well, but we was under dispensation in 23 and got a charter in 24.
And you're saying you're the last surviving charter member
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Mannford?
yeah, I'm the last one.
How is it difficult to get a charter for a lodge?
Well, I didn't think so, no. But enough members gather together, see, and then they petition the Grand Lodge.
How many members does it take?
I don't recall. Since so long ago, I don't recall.
Where'd you meet first in Mannford when you first had the lodge?
Up over the bank building, there's a hall upstairs. Masons used it, Odd Fellows used it, Woodman used it. Then a little later, they built a new school building while we had a room up there. And that's in the old town.
Do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask? Well, I think we
Todd?
well covered unless there's anything else that.
Clarence, you ask him something.
Tell me, when the stars start here?
So what?
Eastern Star?
That was later, but I don't recall what year it was.
Was your wife a member?
Yes, and she
Yeah.
was a charter member.
I don't recall what year.
Let's see, his wife, Doc McDonald, Hooper,
Ozell.
Ozell, and Juanita Hinton, and Neil Holmes, and Harry Boynton's wife.
Geneva belonged, but I don't think she was a charter member. I'm not.
Your daughter?
Yeah. She wasn't a charter member.
No, she wasn't a charter member. See, when I went in the Star, Geneva escorted me. When was the first oil well drilled here?
Around Redport, we first moved around there, but over there at Keystone, I guess, was about the first one across there. And then they got over into the bend there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do any work besides farming and delivering mail?
No, no. Oh, in later years, I had pasture over north there. I'd get in. I had that pasture for about 20 years. I had a few cattle. That's when
That's where you're doing that once a winter time.
yeah, I had something to do on that 7-mile fence. Keep,
Bookkeeping for.
yeah,
books of
yeah,
hardware
for a
and
while I was, a lower flipper that had the hardware on one side of the street and the Chevrolet agency in the garage on the other. And I kept books for him for the afternoon.
Here in the flea markets.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You think of anything to ask him?
No,
Beth?
not really.
Okay.
What do you
So
think?
we used to cross the railroad and go down the north side, going east. And that's where they had the shooting. Well, they got away.
They shot Evans,
Yes,
Down
yeah, Fred Evans.
Fred Evans.
And then sometime in the night, this one, I guess one of them caught the freight train. The other didn't. So he went to Al White's up on Salt Creek sometime at night, and Al, he put him in a buggy and brought it to town. And next morning, he was hanging on that telephone pole there.
No one knew who did it.
Well, there's just a bunch of them.
Nobody admitted it.
Nobody admitted it. But I was a big little kid. I think that was 1912, and I was at home. I'd come to town the next day on horseback. That was on Saturday, I think. And he's still hanging there.
From a telephone pole.
Yeah.
Right
Right there on the
cross
right there on the
iron on
corner
telephone.
from
The
my
cross
home.
iron on a telephone pole.
And along about 4 to 5 o'clock or something, Charlie Poker, he had run his array there. He backed it up there and cut him down, and he went trotting down buried him down on the sandbar down there.
On the river?
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Anyone ever know what his name was?
Oh yeah, yeah. They finally then later on they sent the other one. They got the other one sent him penitentiary then for a while.
Where'd they catch him?
I don't recall that.
Did they bring him back to Mannford for trial or anything?
No,
They didn't have
Spofford.
trials.
That's
Their
Spofford.
trials was a new road.
What the guy? What the
Oh.
guy do? The black guy.
Killed the Evans boy.
Killed one of them.
And robbed him.
Oh.
He
It
sold
was
his
a
cotton.
time.
Oh.
And he had a load of cotton coming to town.
What about the
He sold
KKK?
his cotton and got the money, the way I understand it. And
Headed back home.
What about the KKK? Were they pretty strong around here?
no.
Well, there were several members around Mannford. I think they had a place at Oilton because I had an invitation to join them one time, but I didn't. But there was several prominent members in Mannford there that belonged over there.
Who were they?
Well,
I don't remember it.
bankers, hard lumberyard men,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They had one at Orton, one at Permanent too.
An ordinance in Mannford, no colored people in town after Sunday. That's the only town that I ever knew of that had that.
The first thing they say that stayed all night in Mannford, Tom Mann got a
Old Black,
uh,
Frank Black.
somebody do housework and things like that. And I've heard that she was working stayed all night in Mannford.
Do you remember old Frank Black and Lobo tried to get him to sleep in the casket
Yeah,
and bag
yeah,
of hardware
yeah.
one night?
Yeah.
It was storming and Frank lived in Tarleton there or something and he
Well,
walked
they
all
was
the time.
going hunting the next
Yeah.
day. He come down there to stay one night. He taking a bunch of bird hunting, and then they took him in there, and then Cassie was in there, and they said he just almost threw a fit.
he didn't want to sleep
took
in the
off,
casket.
boy, no.
And he was a black man?
Oh yeah, he was black.
Well, who made that ordinance? Was that from the beginning of time?
Well, it wasn't a written ordinance, but it's been in City Hall all these years and everything, but it actually wasn't a signed
But after
written
that,
ordinance.
This was back then. This was a farming country, cotton. It had two gyms at Mannford, two at Keystone, and one over at Senate, and Tarleton had a gym or two. And you could go to Tulsa and you could get cotton pickers to come and get off at Keystone, but they wouldn't come to Mannford
Oh, really?
after that
Killing.
killing.
Yeah.
I remember, there's a bunch come in town there one night, an old Slip White, town big citizen. And they asked Slip, says, "Well, where's the blacks stay here?"
Now, where'd they hang out?
Yeah, where they hang out? Old Slip says, "Well," says, "the last one hanging on that crossbar here."
That was our favorite pastime after that. Every time the colored people would come to town, they'd ask where the colored people hung out at. And going back, when he was talking about the shipping the whiskey in the wagons, and okay, they bring this whiskey in wagons to Keystone. That the railroad was through. That back train from Tulsa out on the weekend. Now from Saturday morning, wasn't it, until Sunday evening, just on the weekend, you could do any damn thing you wanted to do, and there won't nobody arrest you. No federal man, nobody would arrest you. These guys could take this wagon, bring their whiskey in wagons and take it over and sell it to the Indians. And they couldn't get arrested for it.
At Mannford or Keystone?
Keystone.
Why? What was the?
Well, it was on weekend, and they'd back trains and bring people, would just load them trains, hanging all over them, backing out from Tulsa out to Keystone, and drink all the weekend and take
Didn't
them
he
back.
back them out? They actually backed the
They
train?
backed the train
Why?
out, well, they didn't have a turnaround.
Oh, they didn't have a turnaround.
No,
Oh.
they'd back the train out and just loaded, and and they'd drink all weekend and play
Keystone.
poker and kill each other and
Keystone
everything
must
else.
have been rough.
Oh, it rough. It was wild.
Let's see.
Mannford was a rough old town.
They didn't have a turntable to turn that engine
Yeah,
around.
that-
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it didn't turn.
Okay.
Well, I remember when I came to Mannford, and that hasn't been that long, and there was an ordinance against dancing in the city limits. Is that still on the books?
I don't think so.
Oh, they used to have a dance hall there on
Yeah, but
Saturday
the
night
New
downstairs.
Mannford, they had because Lee White was telling us that's who we ought to have for an interview.
Yeah,
Lee White was telling
they
us.
couldn't be a dance hall close to a church
Or a beer joint.
or a beer joint close to a church.
Oh, I thought it was
Actually,
within the city limits. I thought Lee said they could
Well-
no dancing in the city limits.
no dancing or a beer joint
And he said down.
in the city limits or close to a church.
At one time, over that first post office building, wasn't the first one either, but it was on the west side there. There's a dance hall up above that. And then when they built that cement block building down there where the garage was, there's a dance hall up over that.
It was.
Where Shady Acres?
No, it's Old Town.
It's Old Town.
Wasn't there
Shady
garage?
Nook.
Shady
Shady
Grove.
Nook. Shady Nook.
No,
Shady-
that my uncle had the Shady Nook.
Okay, then they had picnic grounds and they had dances out there.
Well, later years it turned into a beer joint and instead of a restaurant and service station, and then they had dances there. But it was just outside city limits,
Mhm.
just the line, just running out across a little creek,
Excuse me.
which is city limit.